20 years ago, foreign terrorists flew planes that assassinated innocent women and men, trying to instill fear amongst us, taking aim at our democracy for the freedom it represents. The nation came together in a remarkable way. On January 6th, domestic terrorists desecrated our nation's capital, maiming and killing those who are sent to protect us, trying to instill fear in democratically elected leaders because our democracy threatened them. Our nation is still reeling from those attacks, trying to make sense of it. Yesterday, during a speech on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, former President George W. Bush contrasted the unity he felt in the days after the attack with the division that exists in the nation today.
We have seen growing evidence that the dangers to our country can come not only across borders, but from violence that gathers within. There is little cultural overlap between violent extremists abroad and violent extremists at home. But in their disdain for pluralism, in their disregard for human life.
President Bush appears to be comparing domestic extremists to the terrorists who attacked the U.S. 20 years ago, and acknowledging that the threats posed by both are equally dangerous. There are different types of extremists in this world, the ones who plowed planes into the World Trade Center and the ones who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. And they both have the same goal in mind: to prevent America from achieving her democratic promise outlined 240 years ago. The Trumpian-led insurrection rot has morphed, and it's happening in a state house near you. Despite certifying a fair election last year, Republican-led states are enacting further restrictions on the voting, the most fundamental right granted to each American citizen that guarantees a thriving democracy. Based on 538's latest count, 52 restriction laws have been enacted in 21 different states just this year alone. But this is not a grassroots effort led by citizens concerned with the sanctity of the voting booth from within each state. No, it's an orchestrated AstroTurf multi-million-dollar effort funded by the ultra-conservative Heritage Foundation Action Fund, a sister organization to the Heritage Foundation. Here's how it works. The Heritage Foundation writes the policy, and the Heritage Foundation Action Fund is sent out like a door-to-door salesperson selling the baked legislation to state legislators. A bill in a box. But don't just take my word for it. Mother Jones has receipts. Earlier this year, it reported in a private meeting with big money donors, the head of a top conservative group boasted that her outfit had crafted the new voter suppression laws in Georgia and was doing the same thing with similar bills for Republican state legislators across the country. In some cases, quote, "We actually draft the bill for them," she said, or we have Sentinel on our behalf that gives the model legislation, so at the grassroots, it feels grassroots from the bottom up. Wealthy conservative groups have found a way to rig the system. They have funded the insurrection on January 6th to show doubt in the sanctity of our electoral system. Right after the riots, CNBC reported that pro-Trump dark money groups organized the rally that led to the deadly Capitol Police riots. It is no accident that democratic values are under attack in this country, as a young, multicultural America is on the horizon. Last November, Americans, we voted our hearts out, and the far right didn't like it. In fact, the founder of the Heritage Foundation said in 1980, yes, 41 years ago, "I don't want everybody to vote." As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections quite candidly goes up as the voting populace goes down. This dismantling of democracy doesn't always look like hijacked planes crashing into buildings. Sometimes it looks like carpetbaggers carrying binders of paper, walking door to door in your state's Capitol hallways, peddling the laws that restrict the vote that you just cast. Americans, we knew the vote last November was difficult in the middle of a pandemic, but we did our duty. Our duty now is to demand Congress pass the For the People's Act so that states can play by universal rules and send those carpetbaggers, big money, anti-democratic entities packing. As President Bush eloquently stated yesterday, it is our continuing duty to confront them. Indeed it is.